Jeffrey Epstein's victims speaking out tonight, one of them accusing the DOJ of protecting quote-unquote wealthy men, and another one demanding all of the Epstein files be released. Paula Reed is out front. And Paula, what more are these victims saying tonight? They're now choosing to speak out.
Yeah, Erin, remarkable statements tonight from two of Epstein's victims. They are weighing in on the Justice Department's request to release grand jury transcripts. Now, notably, neither of these victims opposes releasing this material, but what they're asking for is to make sure that victims are protected. They write, quote, "Why not be completely transparent? Show us all the files with only the necessary redactions. Be done with it and allow us/me to heal." Now, they're also criticizing the government for what they say is a lack of respect shown to victims, writing, quote, "I feel like the DOJ's and FBI's priority is protecting the third party, the wealthy men, by focusing on scrubbing their names off of files of which the victims know who they are." They directly called out President Trump here, alleging that he was using thousands of agents to protect his identity and those of other wealthy, high-profile individuals. They also took aim at the current Justice Department, saying that it appears that it is more interested in talking with Ghislaine Maxwell, a, quote, convicted imprisoned sex trafficker, than in speaking with victims. Now here, the judge is weighing whether to release these transcripts. Even the Justice Department has acknowledged there wasn't a lot of evidence presented to this grand jury. It heard from two witnesses. So even if the judge decides to make the unusual decision to release this material, which is by default confidential, it is unlikely to quell the calls for more transparency, because most of the information is with the Attorney General, is with the Justice Department. But victims and even Ghislaine Maxwell and anyone else involved in this has until tomorrow to weigh in with the judge.
All right, Paula, thank you very much. And of course, when Paula talks about the grand jury testimony, just to remind everybody, you know, it was really based on the testimony of two officials. So it's a drop in the bucket of the Epstein files. So to be very clear, while it's good to have that, it is a drop in the bucket of what actually is out there and what needs to be known. And it all comes nearly 2 weeks after 3 Republicans joined Democrats on the House Oversight Committee to subpoena the DOJ to release all the Epstein files. But here's the thing. You might say, okay, well, that was 3 weeks ago, so where are the files? It's a good question. The Republican chairman of the committee still has not issued that subpoena, even though he'd agreed to do so. So back with me now is Democratic Congressman Robert Garcia of California, top Democrat on the Oversight Committee. And Congressman, obviously you and I spoke, 10 days ago, 11 days ago. James Comer, Republican chairman of your committee, had said he was going to move quickly on that subpoena. And I know you had a good faith conversation, right? He'd agreed to do it. And you said, but you're going to hold him to it. So do you know what's going on here?
We're in very close contact. We just spoke actually last Friday, and we think that we are likely a day or two away, a couple days here from the subpoena release. We've seen and gone back and forth on some of the language. We've had discussions about getting this out as fast as possible. Now, look, we think it should have already been out and issued. We put that pressure on. We also know that James Comer has been very clear that it's going to be sent out. They're essentially almost there. And so we are taking him by his word. But the clock is ticking. So we hopefully are days away from this release. And he's very aware that this needs to happen immediately.
All right. So when you talk about the wording and the wordsmithing going on, is the final wording such that you understand it, that it's going to be in this subpoena, that you say that Chairman Comer has told you within, I guess, the last business day, Friday, right, is going to go out in the next couple of days? Is it for everything?
It's the full files, documents, videos, but a couple pieces are really important. I mean, I think some of this speaks to what you just reported on. It's very important, and why this is also a little complicated is we want to ensure that what we get is also centers the victims. What we don't want to have is to re-victimize or re-traumatize the victims. And so ensuring that that is redacted, that information is done very carefully, but that the subpoena is clear to the motion that Democrats made is going to be very, very important. And so that's what we have been pushing with Chairman Comer and, of course, the House Republicans. Their protection and centering justice for the victims is really important in this part of the process.
Mm-hmm. So how do you deal with the victimizers? right? I mean, I understand there could be an argument made, well, if there isn't enough to actually charge man A, man B, really wealthy people in Palm Beach, whoever these people may be, then do you redact the names or not? But obviously what people want to know here is not to re-victimize. They want to hold to account the people who engaged in assault who weren't named Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell. Is that going to happen?
Yes, that's exactly right, and that is our goal as well. Look, at the end of the day, it's clear that Donald Trump is covering something up. It's clear that Donald Trump is involved in some sort of cover-up at the White House or the DOJ. I mean, we know that Donald Trump is in the files. The DOJ has told him that. We also know that there are other powerful people, and we should not care who they are, what power they hold, how much wealth they have, what political party they're in. But those victims deserve justice. The full files should be released to the public. And of course, we should protect the victims along the way. But at this point, this is something the president campaigned on. Yeah. We now have a partisan vote of the Oversight Committee to get the files released. And so it's important that James Comer signs that subpoena immediately and we get the files in front of the Congress.
All right, so then last week, Ghislaine Maxwell, well, the week before that, she meets with the number 2 at the DOJ, Todd Blanche. She meets with him a couple of times, right? 2 days, 2 long meetings. They say, the DOJ says she mentions 100 people in the files. But yet, suddenly, then she gets moved to a new prison in Texas, much less security, not something where you would put a convicted child sex offender serving 20 years in prison. Never. No precedent for any such thing. And no precedent for anybody being moved so quickly in the system and so efficiently. So what do you think happened here? I mean, it smells bad. Is it really bad?
We're very concerned about this. I mean, to be clear, there's no reason why Ms. Maxwell was moved. And this is happening right after that DOJ meeting, of course, with essentially Donald Trump's personal former lawyer, Mr. Blanche, and that meeting that happened over the course of those 2 days. And so what does, of course, Ms. Maxwell want? She wants a pardon. She wants a reduced sentence. And then she gets moved to essentially a less secure prison, a place that is actually, she can walk around more, have more freedom of her movements. That is not acceptable. She is not eligible for that type of move. We have been engaging with the Bureau of Federal Prisons and asking them some tough questions. Did the DOJ request this? It's something that the president himself ordered to get done for Ms. Maxwell. She's a convicted sex trafficker. We know this already. She has caused major harm to victims, to young women, to girls. And so why she's getting moved is a concerning pattern of some on the right in trying to somehow lionize Ms. Maxwell, give her some cover, or somehow lay the groundwork for some type of reduced sentence. And for what? For what end? So that she maybe essentially takes her focus off Donald Trump or implicates others but not Donald Trump or Donald Trump's so-called associates or friends. These are all questions that need to be investigated, which is why we need to actually get the files and make them available to the public. We just cannot take Ms. Maxwell's word for it, and for whatever she's going to testify or be deposed on, we've got to see the files ourselves.
She has, of course, been convicted of perjuring herself under oath before. Congressman, I appreciate your time and thank you very much. I'm glad to talk to you again, and we all hope that subpoena will come out in the next couple of days, as I know your conversations with Chairman Comer indicate.